In the face of tremendous technological development at unprecedented and exponentially increasing speeds, we stand at a pivotal moment to decide whether or not we actively accelerate humanity's natural evolution. And if we do, then how? Welcome to Superhuman.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to see all of you. My friends here, I see a lot of familiar faces. And you see me, I see you. So what is really exciting about that is the journey, right? When I met Brian on this park, I didn't know I was meeting him again on this stage. And so you see, when you create communities, you follow up. You're on a journey together. So I'm just going to tell you a little story about me. I'm a cardiac surgeon, so my work is to go into the operating room, open the chest, fix the heart, close the chest, hoping the patient's going to live for longer. That was my job. And this job almost killed me because I discovered I had cardiovascular risk myself. But I had no plan. I had a plan for the patient, I had a strategy, I had the protocols, I had the techniques, but I have nothing for me. And so my question to you is, do you have a plan? Most people have a longevity, a business plan, but they don't have a longevity plan. And so a few years ago, I started to work in longevity medicine. I realized treating disease was amazing, was a calling for doctors, but maintaining health and optimizing life was totally different ballgame. And so what we're going to hear today is a framework that I use myself to redesign my life. A life that I'm proud living, a life with purpose, with people, with friends, with community, but a life in good shape as well. A life I want to live longer, and a life especially that I want to live because it's a better life. And so it's called the longevity architect. And this is the question he's trying to solve. So who's in the room has a longevity plan? Raise your hand. Perfect. At the end of this session, in 10 minutes, I want everyone to have a longevity plan, or at least a framework. This is me, 3 years old. I always knew I wanted to be a doctor. My parents, my dad is a physician, my mom is a nurse, so I got raised into medicine. I didn't know anything else. I became a surgeon. I traveled the world to operate on people, especially on kids. I helped train other doctors, and then that happened. I realized I was overstressed, overweight, prediabetes, hypertension, and then I changed the journey. And if you change your own journey, you're able to change the journey of everyone else. So a year and a half ago, I started a network of doctors called Longevity Docs. From a WhatsApp group of 10 doctors, we are now 450 across 50 countries. It's the leading network of doctors in the world. And so what happened is, this community now is a true purpose. Is a purpose because it helps you understand why you're here, right? Why do you want to live longer? And the mission is to democratize longevity medicine. But the problem is, you always want to do things, and then once the goal is reached, you want to find a new goal. You want to stop, right? What I try to discover is exactly my deep why. Why are we doing things? And by looking deeply, I found out two things were really important: my inner peace and my legacy. Those are the true purpose of why I want to live a longer and better life. So how do you design this life? Imagine you have a life, right, full of purpose, full of energy, full of people you love, right? A life you want to share, and you want to basically be proud sharing, but especially a life that will have impact. And you see, I started as 20 years old as a humanitarian, so I think impact was always something I was thinking about. So I designed the longevity architect. And then you might be pretty familiar with this type of framework. But this canvas, based on 10 pillars, is a way to design a life that's going to be worth living not only on the biological side of it, but as an impact and legacy. So let's go one by one. Okay, what is vision of self? You know, what's going to be your purpose and impact? And try to think about it. That's kind of a workshop here, okay? We only have 8 minutes. What are your key milestones in your life? Obviously, everything related to your lifestyle, your biology, that's really important. Your environment, where you live, is going to have a tremendous impact on your life. But those few things that we don't talk enough about are, do you invest in your life? Do you invest in your longevity? Right? You will invest in cars, real estate, stock market. What is your longevity investment? What is your longevity budget for 2025? I mean, raise your hand if you have an idea. I know you have an idea. Okay, 2, 3 people, 4 people in this room, right? So I think this is really important. What are you going to leave behind with this long life you want to live? So now let's go one by one. And then you have a summary at the end. So it's kind of a little exercise. Okay, let's start with the vision of self. You want to design your future identity, right? You are who you are today, but think about who you're going to be at 25, at 50, 75, 100. Do you picture yourself already? Okay, that's good. Now, second, what does it look like? What does vitality look like? What do you do when you're there, right? You see yourself, but you have to as well adapt and understand how you're going to use this body and this mind in this environment. So I think this is really important. How do you define success, energy, the contribution to the world, your impact? So that's the exercise. Think about it, take a picture, do the homework at home. Write a letter from your 100-year-old self, okay? And I think that's going to clarify exactly where you are, right? You made the subtraction, I'm 45, how many years do I have to live until 100? What do I want to do with those years, right? It's great to live a long life, but what for? And so I think this letter, at first, you know, you gotta have a blank piece of paper and say, wow, what should I start writing about? And spend some time, right? Spend some time, come back on the letter. So first exercise. Second, purpose and impact. What kind of impact do you want? Local, global impact? I think it's important to understand why do you want to have this impact. So define your why. And I know there is someone in the room here, Simon Sinek. If you know about him, he inspired me this way. And so it is really important to understand why you wake up every day. Why do you want to put all this energy? Why do you want to invest in living a longer and better life? What are problems are you trying to solve? Are you an engineer trying to build, for the next generation? Are you an educator? Are you a connector of people? And so I think what is interesting is once you have this why, you almost never work again. You just wake up because this is your mission. And so because this is your mission and your purpose, you can live a long life of inspiration. So why don't you just write your manifesto and find a way to understand your personal mission and guiding principle, right? What are the causes that you like and want to support? So now, super important, key markers of life. I think everyone should have a roadmap, understanding where they come from and where they want to go, right? Write this roadmap with clear goals, things that happen prior, today, and things you want to happen in the future. Define those goals in a clear way so you can achieve and you can reverse engineer where you can go with this body and this brain. Okay, lifestyle. I don't want to talk about lifestyle after Brian Johnson, right? It is almost impossible. But anyway, you know what it is, right? Your sleep, your diet, your stress. Become a master at that. Learn about it and master it. Lifestyle is the core pillar. You do nothing without the lifestyle. And so most people talk, what is the biomarker? What kind of supplement do you take? What do you think about this technology? Tell me about this later paper in science. Oh. What is your lifestyle? Every doctor should be a longevity doctor and ask, what is your lifestyle? So that's the easy things you do, right? But what you can do is describe what is your daily ritual that you can apply to your culture, to your scheduler, to who you are. And once you do that, you have a clear agenda. I'm sure you have a lot of Zoom meetings on your Google Calendar. Do you have anything else? You can have those daily habits. Meditation, nap, journaling, whatever it is. Put them in your Google Calendar. So it's like work. Now biology. Okay, now we're getting into the weeds. Track your biomarker. Understand what's going on into this body. Right? It's like this machine. You want to understand not only the biomarker, but how they fluctuate. Right? Which one are the great one, etc. So today won't be a consultation, but you have to understand that. You have to track them. What do you do to influence them? And once you understand that, then you can tweak it. But biology is only one part of the mechanics, right? It's like the cockpit in a plane. So I think once you list the markers like resting heart rate, and that was a really good one, Brian Johnson talked about it, there's plenty others for different disease, right? Or even hormones. I think being clear about what you monitor, what impacts it, is fundamental. Now, environment, right? You can be super healthy within, right, in your body, but if you live in a toxic environment, that will have an impact at some point. And so I think you want to optimize your longevity spaces. Where do you live? What kind of access to nature do you have, right? Is your air, the light, the air, the emissions, the temperature is adapted to who you are and to the life you want to live? And that's something we take for granted. But the air you breathe, the food you eat, and the light you receive is basically has an impact on your body every single minute. So think about this one. What kind of upgrade can you do? How you would do it? And where would you like to live? And that's super important. You know what is the number one determinant of health? Do you know? Anyone has an idea? Your zip code, where you live. Where you live impacts your life more than anything else. I think that's the number one biomarker. So if you live in a place that is not good for your life, don't talk to me about biomarker improvement and a friend visited from Switzerland to New York. We had lunch, and he told me, "How can you live here?" You remember? Now, my favorite topic, community. Without that, it's not worth living. You need to have your friendship. You need to have the people around you to create your support system, the people that will look after you and the people you will look after. I think this is the most important part of the story. Find your family, your friend, and your mentors, right? So who do you need to spend more time with? We want to remove toxics from the blood. Why don't you remove toxic relationship from your life? Invest in your longevity the same way you invest in the stock market, the same way you invest and then you buy houses. Buy your stock, buy your longevity companion, just to make sure that you invest in the future. It's not a short-term return on investment. It's a return for life. Now, knowledge. Where do you get your knowledge from, right? You're coming to this conference. What kind of book do you read? Podcast, people, mentors. Who do you mentor? I think knowledge is the key. If you don't have this is your superpower. Knowledge and information, right? Last, legacy. Outlive yourself. How do you outlive yourself? What do you leave behind? And I think what is super important is, for me, is to have an ethical will that you would transmit to your grandchildren. Write what you want them to know about you. Why do you live? It is probably more important than how long do you live. And so when you have this kind of small manifesto, when you have your life plan, when you have your investment, you put it together just to make sure that you have a canvas. And this can be your longevity roadmap. Thank you very much.